Is it Pac-12?
It's UCLA Villanova.
I hope you know I'm going on another one of my Pac-12 quarterback rants today because Sam Darnold I know he's injured, but there's no shot he's going to start after this. Another Pac-12 quarterback bites the dust. I'm telling you, I still need to do a deep dive on them and like figure out what it is they're doing to those quarterbacks. They do not do well in the NFL.
What else is going on today? Thought that said Nigeria versus Ohio State for a second. It's definitely Niagara.
Honestly, I did the same exact thing, like right before you said it.
It's like, oh, they're going up against the whole country.
Okay.
I watched a little of Maryland, George Washington.
Yeah, I was on at B-Dubs last night, so I was watching a little bit of it. We are live.
My goodness, Portland put up 122. Morgan State put up 126. Morgan State's going to the tourney. You heard it here first. Couldn't even tell you where they are. Playing behind Keith McGee. Scored 20. He shot 12 of 13 and 3 of 4 from 3.
When I send this link, we are good to go. Another friend live right now. We want to see everyone in the chat put their hot takes. Okay.
Just found my favorite player in college basketball. Keith McGee.
All right. You guys ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Let's do it. Okay, let me make sure the stream's all good. All right, so we are live with another episode of Across the Board, number 9. Another small bunch this week. So panelists there, Chase and Reagan. We might have some others possibly join us later today. We're going to be covering a lot of good stuff today. We're going to start out with NBA, transition to college basketball, which just started up this past week. Then go into some hockey, some soccer, and then end the episode off with some NFL, some college football, and of course, our hot takes. So without further ado, let's start. NBA. We're a couple weeks into the season now. We have some interesting storylines brewing. Chase, you want to start us off on what we're going to talk about today?
Well, I believe we agreed here with the man out in Golden State leading the best team in the league in like every metric of Wardell, Stephen Curry.
So yeah, our script just says Curry in all caps. So I believe the Dubs are 10-1 right now, Chase.
I know they have one loss. I don't know the wins. They're 10-1.
Yeah, they're good. They're very good. Go into more detail about that team.
They lead the league in like offensive metrics, defensive metrics, and just watching them, Warriors basketball is back. I mean, they don't stop moving. Like, obviously, Gary Payton II is a menace on defense and full court press your point guard. And you can just see the frustration kind of building. But, I mean, everyone knows Curry's going to drop 50 when he wants. And that whole team just doesn't stop moving. Wiggins apparently is now postering people.
Postering Cat, his teammate.
No, they're playing really well. I mean, they've played a lot of games at home. They've played 8 at home, which they lost to the Grizzlies, but so they might get some of that, but Warriors basketball's back.
And
they play the Bulls today too, so we'll really see if they're going up against better competition.
Yeah, and this is still without Thompson and James Wiseman here too. So when those two players come back, that team's just going to be even better.
And they have their rookies in G League right now.
Yeah, so why is Moses in the G League? Is he injured or he's
just preparing?
Just rookie preparing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Going around, just looking around the rest of the league. Surprisingly, Wizards and Bulls tied for number 1 in the East at 8-3.
You hated on them.
I did. Because it's the Wizards, man. I'm sorry. But maybe Bradley Beal, it was all part of his plan. Everybody's like, you need to go. He's like, no, I don't want to go. And everybody's just like, he just wants the bag. He doesn't want to win. But maybe he's proving people wrong. Who knows? We have obviously Nets, Sixers, Cavs, Heat, Knicks, and Raptors rounding out that top 8. I guess I got to go to 10 now because of the new play-in. I gotta keep forgetting about that. Bucks, Hornets are your 9, 10 right now. So still really early in the season. Again, take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, we just talked about in the Western Conference, Warriors being 10-1, they're number 1, followed by Suns, Jazz, Mavs, Nuggets, Clippers, Lakers, Grizzlies, and then Kings and Trailblazers are in that 9-10 spot. So we're getting into about like 10 to 13 games in the season for most teams. So it's picking up. We're seeing some storylines form, and excited to see the rest of the year play out. So if we have anything else for NBA, we can move on to.
There's quite a bit happening right now. I mean, the Celtics still can't really get it together with Tatum and Brown. They're struggling out the gate. The Hawks are, I think, 4-8.
They're 4-8, yeah.
Yeah, they're 4-8, and Trae Young had a comment about it's not as fun as the playoffs. So they're already resting. Oh, once we get to the playoffs, we'll be fine. You know,
they've lost 5 straight. So
yeah, so they're already kind of resting on their laurels there. It seems like, which is not good for a team that really had a luck run to the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the Clippers are hot right now. They have won 6 straight, I believe. After last night, they won 6. And then the Jokic stuff. I mean, Morris elbows him in the gut and then acts like he got shot.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that, but on Twitter, the Jokic brothers, which by the way their at is literally just the Jokic brothers, said that I forgot exactly what the tweet said, but I think it was something along the lines of, if we see you in person, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, and then signed off Jokic brothers.
And then Markieff messaged and said, "You got the right ones." And then news outlets reported that the Jokic brothers have officially bought tickets to the Miami Heat versus Miami Heat versus Nuggets. I think it's in Miami this time because was it in Denver that past time or whichever one it is. Yeah, so they're gonna be in Miami whenever they play again. So nothing will happen, but it's always interesting like that. My thing is what I want to talk about really is what is going on with the Pelicans. Because, I mean, are they really a 1-11 team? Like that?
They haven't shown you anything else. What if they shown you that they'd be good?
I mean, I remember. I mean, I thought they could have fought for at least that 10th seed or something. Well, like, are they just a lottery number 1 pick team this year? That's just surprising me.
I'm surprised that they're a number 1 pick like contender.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not surprised at all that they're terrible. I mean, they've lost by 30 multiple times. I know that. I mean, outside of Brandon Ingram, it's no one really going to score the ball.
Zion's still hurt.
Zion's hurt. Probably gained 15 more pounds of muscle. I mean, no one's scoring. Who's playing defense? They got a coach that is new, Willie Green. I mean,
yeah,
offensive guru, but they haven't shown anything. Last year they didn't show anything, just to be a letdown. So
that's very weird. We actually have Ryan joining us right now. Maybe we can get his opinion whenever he gets here. But I mean, yeah, that's just surprising to me. I mean, I knew they were probably going to fight for that 10th seed, but I didn't know they were 1-11. Hey, Ryan, what's up? Do you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're just talking about NBA right now and how terrible the Pelicans have been. But yeah, by the way, my pick early a couple weeks ago, which was the Pistons to fight for that 10th seed. They're 2-8, but still early. So you never know.
Count on it.
Still early. But yeah, is there anything else we're missing in NBA? I think we've pretty much covered the major storylines here, unless anybody else has anything.
I don't know enough about NBA to throw anything in there.
Just make sure you watch Miami Heat versus Denver Nuggets whenever that next game is.
It's probably in like March.
Yeah, I know it's not going to be anytime soon, but Mark your calendars. But moving on, let's talk about some college basketball.
Oh,
let's
it's
just
actually
sort
at the end of the month. It's the 29th.
Oh, really?
Yep.
For East West again? Wow. Okay. All right. Well, going into college basketball here, we just had the State Farm Classic. So it was Kansas, Michigan State, and then Duke, Kentucky. So we saw some of the rising stars in the NBA. One of those being on Duke, Paulo Banchero. I think last time I looked, I don't know how high he is on the rankings, but he's definitely one of the better players on that Duke team. You have Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga, and then you have Amani Bates, who's on Memphis. Which, by the way, Amani Bates is still only 17. So while he has the talent to be a one and done, I think he has to stay in college for another year per the rules. So, I mean, I'm excited for college basketball. I want to try to get more into it this year. I won't lie, I'm one of those March Madness watchers the past couple of years, but I'm actually interested by these prospects. But what do you guys think?
One of you guys can go first.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, you have multiple prospects coming into the league that you're kind of keeping an eye on. But I think it'll be interesting just to see the players' likeliness kind of come into a factor to see how they kind of get promoted. I mean, I think right now we're in a very promotion-driven draft stock in a way where, if you could create a lot of buzz around your name, then your draft stock kind of goes up. So I think with players like this and trying to get out there more and, have deals in the works, I think, just kind of curious to see where that will take these players in a way, just because, that's a different look than just their personal skill.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of going off what Ryan said too. I want to get you guys' opinion on how do you think the NIL deals are going to affect college basketball, right? How do you think that's going to affect their stock going into the draft? I've seen some college football players in some commercials, but I haven't seen any college basketball players yet. So curious to see if you guys seen anything about that or how important you guys think those NIL deals are for those athletes.
I've definitely seen the deal as being more dealt towards the later part of the season. With the March Madness, tournament coming up, it'll be a great chance for a lot of companies to reach out to the players and, have their player maybe make a deep run into the tournament. And so build promotions that way and just build their brand as a player, but also as a business guy.
I mean, honestly, it's great for players to get paid, and I don't really care about anything else. It's not going to do anything to their draft stock. I doubt a player takes a deal and NBA GMs are like, he's averaging 47 in the college. I don't want him number one because he has a tobacco deal. It's not going to happen. NBA GMs know one thing, and that's winning cures all. It's just the fact of how it is. I mean, it's like I said, I really wish players got paid, so I'm glad they have a way of getting paid instead of being exploited. That's a different conversation. But no, I don't think it'll affect college basketball in any way. All it really has done is taken the under the table paychecks that they were getting and putting them above board. Now, are you going to get controversies where they're paying a car dealership to pay these paychecks instead of under the table, pay them through them? Maybe, but that's an NCAA conversation for another day. All NIL has done to me is taking below the waist, like sneaky deals and just made it legal.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Go ahead, Reagan.
I kind of agree with what you said about how I don't think we're really gonna see those deals until probably later in the season, closer to March Madness. But I don't really see it hurting a player's draft stock or anything.
Yeah, I think those deals are interesting too because I think in college basketball, it's gonna be a completely different market. I think because with football, you have guys that are locked in for 3 years, right? You have guys that they can't go to the league after their first year. So I wonder how those deals are going to differentiate between college and football, or college and or basketball and football, because basketball you have a lot of one and done guys, right? Guys that you already know are going to go to the NBA. So I wonder how those deals are going to change and all that. So that's something I'm looking forward to in college basketball and just looking at how those deals formulate. But just real quick, also just to say the top 5 this year, obviously you have Gonzaga, at number 1 because they don't play anybody because they play in the WAC. And you have UCLA, Kansas, Villanova, and Texas rounding out your top 5. So if nobody has anything else to add for college basketball, we can move on.
I would say one last thing with college basketball that at least I think is interesting. There's 2 parts to it. So the first part is that a lot of universities are actually trying to stay away from, the athletes gaining money. Like they're letting the players do that completely independently.
Mm-hmm.
Where when I first heard about the news, I thought it would be more of like a business contract where, it's a negotiation between the university and the player about how, the money gets handled. But I think for right now, it's probably a safer bet for the universities just to let the players handle it themselves. But that's not at all what I first thought it was going to take. So I find it interesting that it has taken a back seat to it from the university standpoint.
I think it's interesting, but you think about it like this, right? Like if they weren't athletes and they were influencers, that wouldn't be up to the college anyway, which I think is kind of that's also why people advocate for them to get some sort of payment, is because if they weren't an athlete, I think that a lot of those punishments they get for whether it's a loan or somebody paying the money and all that wouldn't have existed if they weren't an athlete anyway. So, excited for them, excited to see those deals formulate. But moving on, Reagan, if you want to tell us about NHL and what's going on there, I heard the Blackhawks may have a new coach here pretty soon.
Yeah. So they finally fired Jeremy Colleton. It had to happen. They were 1-9-2, and they just couldn't put anything together. So Derek King is their interim head coach, and he was like the Rockford Ice Hogs head coach. What's interesting to me is it sounds like he's not going to be their like permanent head coach, I guess, like the permanent like solution, but they're not going to start looking for a permanent solution until like the off season, which is a little interesting to me, but kind of is what it is. But also the fact that the Hawks have played 2 games under him now and they've managed to win both of them. So like that's a pretty good sign right there. And he honestly just seems like such like a likable guy and just like so genuine, just kind of like he wants to be there. So I'm really hoping that even if he doesn't become the permanent head coach, he's at least still on the coaching staff in some form. So it's kind of the biggest thing there. And then another big thing is the Hurricanes and the Panthers are both like kind of still undefeated, but they both now have a regulation loss. The Hurricanes lost to, where did I write it down? Where did it go? The Hurricanes actually lost to the Panthers. Yeah. And the Panthers lost to the Rangers, who are surprisingly good this year. I didn't think they're going to be as good as they are. So they both have a regulation loss now, which I will say the Hurricanes, though, they look so good. They signed Freddie Anderson over the offseason, and he was with the Maple Leafs last year. And honestly, he just like didn't have a great year, and now he's just unstoppable. So we'll see how that goes like further down the line. But I think the Hurricanes are looking a lot better than what I was expecting from them this year.
For sure, yeah. And just want to add, the Kraken are not looking like they're going to have a Golden Knights type year where they go to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first expansion year. They are currently 4 wins, 9 losses, 4 wins, 9 losses, 1 overtime loss.
Yeah.
So with 9 points, and the division leader has 20 points. So pretty big difference there.
To be fair, the division leaders, the Oilers, who have, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and just McDavid is just absolutely unreal. Like you had 4 guys on him and still scored a goal. Like, how does that even happen?
He's the LeBron of the NHL.
He's just,
isn't he like 24?
He's young.
Yeah.
He's pretty young.
I just saw his 1 goal on Twitter, and that's the entire hockey season. I know.
Was it the one when he had like 4 different guys on him from the Rangers?
Yeah, he just went through their whole team.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, he's 24.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing I thought was interesting with him, what I pointed out, is if you look it up, it says his salary is only $2 million. I want to look up the difference between like I don't know, maybe it's just the way that Google has it set up, but is there really that big of a difference in hockey salaries compared to like NBA or NFL?
I mean, to me, it's weird that he's not getting paid that much because the Blackhawks signed Seth Jones over the offseason, who that's contract is kind of iffy. I'm not a fan of it, but he's looked better the last couple of games. So when he first started the Hawks, it wasn't looking good, but he looked a lot better. But he's making like $9.5 million a year, I think.
Okay.
The next, so I could just be like maybe like because he's 24, maybe like the back end of his like rookie contract or like first contract. So I'm assuming he's gonna get paid a lot more here soon. I don't know like his contract details really, but
Okay. Yeah.
so my guess is he's gonna get paid a lot more soon. At least he should.
Yeah.
For how good he is, but
Awesome. Well, we can move on. Now we could transition into some soccer. Chase and Ryan, if you guys want to get us started here.
Well, I'm gonna interject here first. Ryan, you can add as you please.
Mhm.
They did a disservice to the soccer world a week ago, so I'm gonna have to fix some of your sins here.
We did? Hey, we could have not talked about it at all. Okay.
Well, first off, yes, Antonio Conte was hired by Tottenham a week ago, but he didn't play. He coached at Inter Milan. That's where he was before, and then before that, he was at Chelsea, as Ryan can tell you more about. But no, Tottenham fired their coach, Nuno Espirito Santo, after 6 months in charge. And the big thing was he won Coach of the Month in the Premier League the first month of the season. But it's very debatable that he should have won it to begin with. And that's coming as a Spurs supporter personally. But Conte is there. He's known as a world-class manager. He's won multiple Serie A titles, a Premier League title. His big thing is he struggles in Europe. He didn't make it out of groups a year ago with Inter, and played in the Europa League, which third place in Champions League plays in the knockouts of Europa League, just to kind of clear that. And the other one was Javi Hernandez. You guys were close on that one. He was hired by Barcelona, former number 6-8 role for Barcelona when they were unbeatable for like 3 straight years. That's when they had Pep and Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets in midfield. You just couldn't beat them. Puyol in defense. And he's there kind of bringing this new generation of Pedri. I'm blanking on it. Hope maybe Ryan could think of it. He's like a 17. Not Fati, the striker or the midfielder. I can't remember. He's like 17 and played for Spain and shut down Italy's midfield, and I just can't think of his name. If it comes to me, I'll say it. But nope, he's got hired by Barca. But looking forward into this week, a lot went down. The Premier League has decided going into its international break that it is hire and fire season. And a lot of teams are cleaning house. Norwich fired their coach. I had these pulled up. I should have kept them pulled up. I'm not very good at manager names with all of them. But they've fired their Daniel Farke. Farke, I don't know exactly how you say it. But they fired him. Currently, there's no replacement, but it's been rumored heavily that Frank Lampard will take over as Norwich head coach.
At Norwich?
Former Chelsea manager got fired for their current coach, Thomas Tuchel. He's been looked at. Watford has already fired their head coach and replaced him with Claudio Ranieri.
Can I interject real quick? So Lampard, he managed Chelsea, right? I feel like
correct.
Mhm.
I feel like the gap from Chelsea to Norwich is kind of big. Did he used to play at Norwich or something, or can he really not get a better job opportunity?
Well, I mean, the thing with Frank Lampard is that, he is a very young coach. Like when we took him as a Chelsea manager from Derby County, which was a lower league team, it was kind of a risky move. It was more of a thing of like, well, we're in a rough spot as a club. We need a coach. And honestly, he was a good fit for what we needed at the time. Obviously, we have upgraded with Tuchel, but Frank Lampard, there were some good things that he did. It's just that he needs more time to develop his strategy and his tactics of the game. I think that's when they really struggled. But he knows how to get results with a smaller club. I mean, when he was at Derby County Derby County, he was coaching there, and they had 2 really great seasons. I mean, they made runs into the Europa League when they made it, and then also they won their league as well. Like, they got promoted as Frank Lampard was going to Chelsea. So for Frank Lampard to go to Norwich, I actually think would possibly be a good move, just because it seems that he has at least a good chance to develop more skills as a lower field coach. So I think that'd be a great chance for him to kind of develop his status.
Do you think he can save Norwich from regulation?
No one can save Norwich. No manager in the world can save Norwich.
There's a lot of teams that, they come up for a couple years and they stay mid-pack to low, and then they have one really bad season and then they have a hard time coming back. So, it's one of those things where, you kind of know walking into that job that it's a tall task, but you're going to try to make the best of it.
Is this Norwich's first year in the Prem too? Not first year ever, but first year recently.
First year back. They are they are kind of, them and Fulham are kind of teams that every other year they're in the Prem and they just go up and down. Normally 2 of the 3 promoted teams will go up and then back down. So there's 1 team that stays.
So there's 3 promoted teams every year, right? So the past 3 were Norwich. Was it Brentford? Was the other one?
Yep.
And then Burnley? Was it Burnley that got promoted?
No, it's Watford.
Burnley's been in the league for a while, actually.
Okay.
It's Watford.
All right. I almost got him.
Burnley will somehow play their 5 at the back and will beat you 1-0 for no reason off a corner in the 60th minute, and then we'll just hold on to it. They're also the oldest team in the Prem. They're a weird team, but no one likes playing them because it's always tough.
They're a tough team to play. You wouldn't think about it, but they are.
But I looked up Lampard's coaching stuff. With Chelsea, he played 84 games and got 1.75 points per game with them, which isn't terrible, but for Chelsea, you definitely want more.
Yeah.
And then with Derby, he had 1.63, which in the championship is, again, okay. So he's a decent manager. He got quickly outshined by the top managers in leagues. But
because
I mean,
a lot of times when Frank Lampard would be playing against the lower end teams, we would get good results. And then when we would play against the top competition, I would say we struggled against everyone except for, oddly enough, Liverpool. Liverpool, we had some pretty good games against. But the one thing that I've struggled with Frank Lampard is that he's going to get consistency with his results. And that was really the ultimate downfall to his coaching at Chelsea.
Awesome.
They also beat Tottenham every time. I just want to put that out there. They could not beat him.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to rub it in, but
Awesome. Well, is there anything else for soccer before we move on?
Yesterday, Brazil claimed a World Cup spot.
Nice.
Yep, the World Cup will be coming next winter, actually. It will not be during the summer. It will be during the winter. Yep, because it's being hosted in Qatar.
Yeah.
Middle of November.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, so we might have to do some watch parties for that.
I know. That'll be fun. So that's gonna be next year?
Yep.
Next year.
Well, I'll be gone, but maybe I'll fail a couple classes and come back. Who knows?
Yeah.
I saw Reagan had her hand up to say something.
Just to circle back to the McDavid contract. So I looked it up. So it says $2 million. That's his base salary, but then he has a bunch of signing bonuses that are $13 million. So he's basically at $6 million a year, but then $2 million is his base salary. So that's probably why it says $2 million, because it looks like his contract expires in 2026.
So are NHL salaries more confusing and lied about than NFL contracts, where they'll say he got 170 million, it's 12 guaranteed.
Yep.
With roster bonuses.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing because they'll always say like he signs for this much, but he's like guaranteed this much, and there's like X amount of like signing bonuses, but like sometimes they don't even start that year. So like I mentioned, like Seth Jones, like his doesn't even start until next season, which I don't understand, but
I mean, yeah, it
whatever.
says he has the highest cap hit.
Yeah.
And then Artemi Panarin, I like his hair, so
Artemi
I enjoy
Panarin.
him.
Yeah, Artemi Panarin. I'm still mad the Hawks traded him, but no, it's fine.
Well, we have nothing left with soccer. Reagan, we're gonna keep your pain here because we're talking about NFL this week. So recapping some games from last year. Last week was a pretty weird week. So you had Steelers and Bears 29-27, which by the way, thought it was a doink. Saw a different angle of that kick, and he was like maybe like 10 yards short, and that might be generous.
I think everybody thought he doinked it though, because the first camera angle looked like he did.
He barely made it to the end zone, so that's interesting. But Titans Rams, a surprising. So Titans without Derrick Henry pretty much handle the Rams and dominate them. Maybe not dominate the game, but they win comfortably.
It was dominant.
It was dominant, as Chase says, 28-16 Titans, proving that they can win without Derrick Henry. Jags versus Bills, 9-6. Somebody told me this is the Peyton. I forgot who said it, but somebody told me this was the Manning show curse. So whichever player goes on, because as you know, Eli and Peyton have that Monday night cast for Monday night games. I forgot who said it, but somebody told me whoever goes onto that show, whatever player goes on, their team loses next week. So the past, I think this is week. I don't know what week it is. I think it's the past 4 weeks that this has happened.
We're going into week 10.
We're going to week 10.
But the Manning cast is like taking weeks off, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think the Manning cast had maybe 4 or 5 casts, and all of those players have lost after they've went on it the following week, which is really interesting. And then finally, Chiefs versus Packers with Aaron Rodgers out. The Chiefs get a must-needed win. Only 13-7 though, which is still a bit worrying, but it is what it is. So let's unpack these games here. I want to start at that Titans-Rams game because I think that is a huge, huge win for the Titans. For them to lose like their main back and to win that game against possibly a Super Bowl contender is huge. Does anybody else have anything to add on that game?
The Rams offense was kind of just like looking for the big play. Like the commentary team brought it up like the entire game. They weren't like doing their like short, like get 6-7 yards and just kind of keep it moving. Mm-hmm. They just couldn't get open downfield, whether it be long routes or something. Secondary playing crazy, but 28-16 is like makes the game look better for the Rams than it was.
Yeah.
I mean, they scored a late touchdown, which thanks, that gave me the fantasy win for the week. But
I think Titans were up 21-7 at one point, or maybe even like they were up by like 17 or 20 points. It wasn't pretty. It was a shellacking.
Their offense kind of staggered though. If it wasn't for the Rams offense turning it over, like back to back with the pick 6 and then the Carson Wentz interception that Stafford threw, I mean, the Rams still might have been able to pull it off if they didn't have those turnovers.
I love how at halftime it was 21-3 Titans.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. So Chase, I love that you bring up that the Rams keep wanting to bring up or to keep having big plays that game, right? They were looking for the big play. And this week we saw them sign a big playmaker in OBJ. So OBJ joins that stacked LA team. How do you guys think OBJ is gonna do? I've seen reports that Sean McVay swayed OBJ to come here because I think he was thinking about going to the Packers and the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Those were like the top 2 that I heard first. And then the Rams started getting in that conversation. And I heard Sean McVay actually was talking to OBJ about all the ways that he could utilize him. So how do you guys think OBJ is going to do in LA?
Super teams don't work in the NFL.
I was wondering, I mean, all these guys are going to want the touches. And if they don't get touches, they're not as effective sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I will say like their receiving core is amazing, but they don't really have like. No, just wait before because I know Chase a Cooper Cup stan, right? They don't really have the divas on the team, right? It's not really like Cooper Cup is a number one receiver. Robert Woods is a great receiver, but they don't have like they're not guys that really like if they don't get the ball, it's not a problem. You know what I mean? They're like guys that just want to win for the team, and that's what it is. And then OBJ comes in here, and now he's a star. And I don't, I think any other team he goes to, like him and Devontae Adams, I think that would have been maybe like they butt heads a little bit. I think when
Devontae was the biggest supporter though of him going there.
I think not butt heads as in like emotionally, but as in like you have two stud receivers that are going to demand the ball. I don't think while Coop and Woods are great receivers, do not get me wrong, they do not have that same aura as an OBJ or a Julio Jones or a like Devontae. Not Devontae Hopkins. Why am I blanking on his name? Devontae Hopkins?
They're DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre. I was saying Devontae. DeAndre Hopkins. It's not like it's not one of those guys. You're not putting him in a super team with those guys. I think it will work out a lot better than people think. I can't explain it in words. I don't know why, but it's just
the defense isn't going to put two people on Cooper Cup or Robert Woods, but they will 1-2 on OBJ. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
They're pulling defense with like their namesake alone.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes, exactly. And I'm not saying that Cooper Cup's not good because obviously like he's amazing. I'm not saying Robert Woods isn't good, but I'm saying that they don't have that same pull just because of their name and their playmaking ability compared to guys like OBJ, Julio Jones, and guys like that. That's why I think that this could work. That's just my opinion on it. But yes, I mean, I do agree. Super teams don't work in the NFL, but
for whatever reason, they just don't.
I think NFL is too much of a team game. I think that's really what it is. It's just too much of you need your whole team to be well. Mm-hmm. There's just too many moving parts. It's not like the NBA where like a guy can score by himself whenever he wants. It doesn't really work like that in the NFL.
I mean, heck, look at the Colts, front line at times, when they have injuries on like the left-hand side, it runs into issues. There's a lot of chemistry that goes on that football field, and so it'll be interesting to see how that transpires with all the new wide receivers, and then with Stratford, and then Henderson Jr. as well.
Yeah, we're gonna see them all in action on Monday night against the 49ers. So,
will you see OBJ?
We'll see Von Miller for sure. I don't know if I'm pretty sure we'll see OBJ. I don't think he's hurt or anything.
Well, just, to get him acclimated more than anything.
Yeah, it's just running routes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think OBJ wants to get out there ASAP. Yeah. That's my – go ahead, Reagan.
I don't really see why he wouldn't play.
Yeah.
He probably wants to get out there.
They'll probably be like run him anything too like complex or anything like that, but they'll get him the touches that he'll want, like whether it's check down, slant routes, whatever it is, they'll get him the ball.
Screen, slant, streak. Everything else complicated, Cooper Cup and Woods run. So transitioning now into that Packers Chiefs game.
Bears fans got to be happy. You're not going to 3 back-to-back Hall of Famers.
So he's still young. And it was his first game starting in the regular season. So I can't be too happy. I never root for the downfall of a player. But if he plays for the Packers, sometimes there's an exception. No, but I mean, I get that they didn't play A-Rod, but that's still a win. That's still a big win that they needed. Do you guys think that this turns around the Chiefs season or
no? They're still going to struggle.
They look like they just have too many issues to figure out, which has been so weird because they've been dominant. I mean, a team like that, part of it could be too is, if you have too much of the same roster at times, you kind of lose that edge, I feel like. And so maybe that's what's happened here. Because, they're 5-4. And, they should have done better considering some of the teams that they've played.
Yeah. They had a pretty rough schedule to start, though. When you look at the teams that they've played, like they've played the Ravens, the Chargers, the Browns, the Bills, the Titans. They've played some tough teams. And the sad part about that, looking at the rest of their schedule, it's not going to get any easier because their division is just good. They're playing the Raiders.
Raiders are releasing their whole roster.
I mean,
Raiders are
optimistic
releasing
right
their
now.
whole roster.
I mean, if
The
the
Broncos are
Raiders,
trading their best players because they know they can't compete.
hey, don't the Broncos just beat up on the Cowboys. All right, don't disrespect
It's
on
the
them.
Cowboys. Who cares?
What do you mean it's the Cowboys? They were 7-1.
It's not prime time. Jerry doesn't care.
Hey, well, they almost lost on primetime to Kirk Cousins' skull,
I'm
baby.
just saying 5-4 for the Chiefs is everyone's acting like they're 0-9. Like they're 5-4 still. Like they're not even as bad as everyone. Like obviously it's bad, but it's bad compared to the 14-2 that you're comparing it to.
Yeah.
They're above
Yeah.
500 in a division that the Broncos. Again, they trade away Von Miller. They know Teddy can't do it for him. So, I mean, obviously that defense is still good, and with how bad the Chiefs' offense is, they might be able to pull it out. But the Raiders have to release a new player every
other week. Damon
So,
Arnett.
I
I don't know if
mean,
you guys seen the
still
video
a
on Damon
chance.
Arnett, but I guess he was waving around a gun saying he was going to shoot somebody. So that's tough.
It wasn't just a gun. It was
like
a big boy.
it was like an assault rifle. So looking at their division though, this is going to be a fun division to watch. They are all over 500 right now. So you have Chargers, Raiders 5-3, and then you have Chiefs, Broncos at 5-4. So that division is going to be a fun one to watch. AFC North is also another division that everybody's over 500. Which, by the way, I start rooting for the Bengals and then they just lose.
They're
like
frauds.
2 straight.
They're
Right, they're
frauds.
frauds. Everybody in the NFL was frauds last week. That's just what it was. So
yeah, you can't
couple
put any
wonky
faith in one
wings.
team.
you really can't. You really can't. But yeah. So looking at this week's games, Chiefs, Raiders, we just talked about. Seahawks, Packers. Russell Wilson is going to be back. And Browns versus Patriots. I think this is going to be an interesting week. I think that I'm really going to look at that Seahawks-Packers game with A-Rod coming back and Russell Wilson coming back. I really want to see which of those two teams is going to – I guess it's the Bears fans in me that just like the Packers can't just be this good, right? Like they weren't projected to be this good at all. They got beat 38-3 in the beginning of the season. So I'm curious to see how that's probably like my game of the week to watch, but I'd love to hear you guys' opinions too.
I mean,
Well,
maybe
go ahead, Reagan.
maybe it's the Bears fan in me, but like, okay, I kind of agree with that. But I'm really hoping Russell comes out and he's a lot. Not that he was bad, like just like a lot better than like maybe he might be coming off of an injury. Oh my God, I can't speak. But Rodgers has also just been so good this year. So with the exception of like the first game.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Seahawks have been missing out on Wilson for about 2 weeks?
More than that.
Yeah,
More
I
than
think
that.
it's been gone since like week 3 or something, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Week
they're
3.
3 and
Okay,
5
so
right now too.
So that explains the record then. I mean, they're away. It'll be interesting to see how quickly Wilson can adapt to playing up to speed. I mean, he's a professional, so I mean, and he's obviously shown his quality over the years. So like he can pull games out when he needs to. But I mean, with the Packers and A-Rod coming back, I don't know. The Packers are looking good this year, so it's tough to say, how well the Seahawks will do.
Plus, like Rodgers only missed out on one game, or Russell's missed out on a couple. So it's kind of they're different as in like Rodgers doesn't really have to get back up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
Seahawks are also not 3-5 because of Geno Smith. They're 3-5 because Blitz Boy in the defense is bad might be a good way to say it for them. They're like 26th or worse in like every category. But I do have a different game.
I know. I think I know which one you're going to say, but go ahead.
No, you don't, because Dan Campbell, he buried the playbook in the film at midfield in Detroit up there. They're 0-8. They're getting a win. They're going to beat the Steelers in Heinz Field. The Steelers juju of the Bears game going away. Lions are going to get a win, and that's a guarantee. If they buried the film, they had a bye week. He's pulling out fake punts, fake PATs. He's going to have Jared Goff run a flea flicker touchdown thing. I don't know.
Right, Chase.
You need to be drug tested immediately.
Can't leave my house. I've been stuck here.
in
Sorry.
Heinz Field. It's yeah, okay.
I'm telling you, the bad juju of that Bears game. That's
Okay. I thought you were gonna say Panthers versus Cardinals because it's gonna be
no,
like
not
we're in
fair.
2013 again with Cam Newton is gonna be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers this week. Sam Darnold's out with injury, but I'll say it, and I will always say it. Pac-12 quarterbacks suck. So we should have seen this coming. I think they even gave him props early in the week. I was misguided. I should have always stuck to my morals of Pac-12 quarterbacks are absolutely terrible. But Cam Newton, as long as he doesn't play god awful this year, should be the starter for the foreseeable future for the Carolina Panthers this season.
I'm gonna disagree. Why would it matter? He led a Patriots team to an under 500 record, and the 12th pick? He threw over 100 yards like 3 times. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but
do you think
they're gonna get
Darnold
slaughtered.
Is Sam Darnold going to be a better option than him though?
I'm not saying that. They need to go with PJ Walker, the XFL legend, but the Cardinals are going to slaughter them.
I'd be down on that.
They
They are going to get slaughtered. I just
them.
want to see him in a jersey again. I think it will all wear off by like the third play he runs when we realize he can't really throw more than 7 yards anymore. But it'll be fun to watch.
He can throw 20 plus, perfect. But if you get him within like 15,
it's over. Yeah. I like that you brought up the Patriots though, because they're one game away from leading in the AFC East right now, and they've won 3 straight. Which, by the way, they're undefeated on the road, but they're 1-4 at home, which with a rookie quarterback. Which is
they played Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Though. That's very true. But
so I think they've played the harder games at home.
That is true. I'm curious to see how their season goes, especially now with defensive ends that are going to be hunting Mac Jones. I don't know if you guys saw that play that he did, but he fumbled the ball, and he thought like defensive end Brian Burns had the ball, and he grabbed his ankle, and like Burns twisted
it.
Yeah, and it was a whole big thing, and people forget, like they acting like Brian Burns got hurt, but he literally came back like 2 plays later, and Mac came out and even said like, I thought he had the ball, that's my job. But Burns came out and said that he told his DN brothers happy hunting. So, sorry, Mac, but
also I looked it up here. They lost to the Saints, but that was early in the season when they were still, finding their footing. They lost to the Bucks, which they hit the post on the field goal there. And then they lost to the Cowboys, who are 7-1.
Fair.
And then they put up 50 on the Jets, but it's the Jets. So like they're 1-3 at home, but if it's 1-4, I just didn't see the other game here.
It is 1-4. They're
1-4. They also, I can't see.
They lost
they lost to the Dolphins in week 1. Yeah. So yeah, kind of when they found their footing there early October, kind of finding their way now. So,
well, we got to move on. But this week will be pretty interesting for NFL. But moving on into our favorite weekly topic of the CFP rankings, college football. So last week we saw actually one of the top 3 teams lose, which I may have worded it wrong, so I can't really give myself this hot take. But I think what I was trying to say was one of the top 4 teams were going to lose last week. And Michigan State did lose. However, I need to go back and look at the tape and see if I actually said that.
I already looked. You listed the teams, and it was pretty much the top 4.
All right. Well, so I got one hot take this year. So that's my goal. But yeah, we saw Purdue beat Michigan State, the ranked Slayers. And then we saw Cincinnati struggle against Tulsa, but still come out with the win 28-20. This week, Oklahoma, Baylor, and the ranked Slayers, again, Purdue versus Ohio State, are pretty much our 2 headline games this week. And then with Michigan State losing, the new CFP rankings are number 1, Georgia, number 2, Bama, number 3, Oregon, and number 4, Ohio State, with Cincinnati and Michigan on the bubble. So it's pretty, we're getting in that time in the college football season where it's pretty much just conference play, survive in advance, get the wins where you can, and there's no more style wins. Pretty much, you just got to win, and if you win, you keep moving up. So, does anybody have anything to add for college football, CFP rankings, anything like that?
I just think Cincinnati got screwed last week, so I want to throw that out there. But I also think if they sneak in, they'll only get the 4th spot, which
they're not going to
Still
get
the 4th
higher than
spot.
4. They're not going to get higher than 4,
But-
which is fine.
even if they were 4 or 3, I still think they get absolutely just blown out. I'm all for group of 5 making it, but I also understand that the difference in a Power 5, like top tier Power 5 and a top, like the cream of the crop group of 5 of Cincy is just different levels.
Yeah, I'll always say that too. I agree with that, but I think that the CFP needs to be more transparent with their criteria, because if the criteria is the top 4 teams that like in college football, then keep it consistent like that. But it's not. It hasn't been consistent like that. I want to see Cincinnati make it just because we've never seen a group of 5 team make it, and even if they do get slaughtered, I still want to see it happen, and maybe they won't get slaughtered. Who knows? Maybe they're actually legit. That'll be interesting. But for Cincinnati to make it, we'll need to see Ohio State lose.
It'd be
Maybe
Oregon.
twice. Well, obviously Oregon's got to lose twice. They've got to lose. They could
They
maybe
just need
lose
to
once.
lose one. They need to lose one and to fall out because they don't play a ranked opponent the rest of the year.
But what if their one is Utah and Utah climbs up to like the teens? So their one is Utah in the Pac-12 championship. Does that take them out of the top 4?
Well, Utah's not ranked right now.
They are.
They're
number 24.
6-3 at 24.
Number
24. I was going off AP. But I mean, if Utah beats them, that you're still losing to what? At that point, it'd be 22 or something.
Yeah, if
they
make it,
you're still falling to 7 or 8. So if they're really going to have Michigan jump Cincy for 4, then and Ohio State moves to 3.
Well,
sorry, I need to clear my throat there. Then those two play each other. So Cincy just needs to pull for Oregon to lose. They shouldn't worry about Ohio State or Michigan because one of those teams will beat each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming, unless it's a Clemson Notre Dame thing of a year ago, that they won't put them at 3-4. Back to back. So Cincy just needs to win out. They need Notre Dame to keep winning because that's kind of their like ace in the hole is that Notre Dame win. And they just
that
need
is true.
Oregon to lose. Like that's the biggest one. Alabama, if they lose, that's great for them. But they need Oregon, in my opinion, to lose.
So let's say that. So Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State, they're all in the same division, right? Only one of them can make it. That's not a big deal. So after that, you have Cincinnati undefeated and you have Oklahoma undefeated. Those, I think, are your 2 real bubble teams.
Not Oklahoma.
So if Oklahoma goes undefeated, you don't think they make the college football playoff?
They haven't played a ranked opponent. They haven't beat one. They play one this week. I think they play Baylor this week.
They play Baylor's number 16. I just said it. I think they're number 16.
They don't have a win against a ranked opponent this year.
Wow. That is correct. Yeah, so they're going to play. So the meat of their schedule is now. Unfortunate. I believe Ohio or Iowa State was ranked earlier this year, and they've had a bad year. So they were supposed to end the year with
Texas might have been
Baylor.
ranked, but it's Texas.
Texas
might have
was
been
ranked
like
at
22.
They were 20. They were 23 or something. They were late.
Their strength of schedule though is terrible.
Yeah, Oklahoma plays. But again, I'm a big strength of schedule guy, but it's also the Big 12. It's not really their fault. It's been a bad.
It's
year
not
for the Big
Cincy's
12.
fault. They're in the American.
It hasn't been, but I'm also saying it's been a bad year for the Big 12, right? For every other team, it's been a pretty bad year. There's not many years where you see Texas unranked, you see Iowa State unranked, and you don't really see like TCU or Kansas State sneak into that like top 20, like 22, 23, 24, 25, right? So it's been a pretty bad year, and that's not really on Oklahoma. Like they just got to win out. Ryan, I know you're going to say something though.
Yeah, no. So Baylor, I mean, they're ranked 13th, and then the last week they play Oklahoma State, who's ranked 10th right now. So like, if Oklahoma were to like kind of win out here, they would move up. I'm not sure if they would move up enough to pass, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State. Like, there's a lot of names out there that have easier schedules, and as long as they win out, they're not going to go anywhere. So Oklahoma's got a tall task ahead of them.
I think that Kansas game was them shooting themselves in the foot. You can't be down. You can't be down to Kansas in the fourth quarter. It's Kansas.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. I think those, that it'll be interesting because since looking at the rankings, when you realize Michigan State, and Ohio State are all in the same division, your two realistic bubble teams are Cincinnati and Oklahoma. Those are the two realistic teams that are going to fight for that top 4 position. In my opinion, how we have seen the committee act this year, if both of those teams are undefeated and Cincinnati's 5 and Oklahoma is 6 and Ohio State loses in the Big Ten championship, or no. Or if Oregon loses in the Pac-12 championship and they drop, I think the committee picks Oklahoma over Cincinnati. I'm not saying it's
opponents that they were able to play.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right, but the Big 12 is harder than the American Conference. And I think that Cincinnati, while they did beat Notre Dame, if Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State, that's a similar quality of win.
I also think Oklahoma just won't win out. They're terrible.
You really think they're going to lose?
My hot take was going to be Baylor beats them. Is it Waco? They're in Waco.
They're in Waco.
Yeah. So I was making sure. I knew it was at Baylor.
The 2 ranked games are both away.
Yeah.
I could also see them losing to Iowa State. Like, that's the thing.
Iowa State's usually a good team. They just had a down year this year. Man, you want to talk about frauds, though? Well, remember, I will say this. I think this is before the Baylor game. When I released my rankings, Chase and I went through, like, Oklahoma State are frauds. I think at that point they just played Kansas State. Since then, Oklahoma State has beaten Baylor. They've beaten Texas. They lost Iowa State by 3 points, and they beat down on on Kansas 55-3. So maybe they don't beat Oklahoma State. I don't know. That'll be interesting. But we have to move on unless anybody has anything else to add to college football.
Oklahoma are frauds, and I'll stick through that throughout the year.
All right. Well, we're gonna come to our favorite segment of the show here. It's our hot takes. So, Chase, if you want to talk about last week's hot takes, who hit them, and then we just give ours for this week.
So I wanted to check. I wasn't here, and I didn't go back and write them down like I should have. So if anyone remembers theirs, that'd be great. If not, I'll do it for our own personal history book here, and I'll get it later. But Kai, you were the only one, I believe, unless Reagan gave one. I kind of skipped through the show. You finally hit one, and Michigan State lost. You went for you had 4 chances and you got one. So
I even said it was a softball toss, but I mean, to predict one of the top 4 losing is still, I think, not. It's, that's still a reasonably steamy take. So I will take
Reagan,
that.
did you give a hot take before you left?
No, I totally forgot until it was too late.
I skipped around the show because I wasn't here, but I just wanted to make sure. So Kai got his. I don't know what the other ones were, so I'll find them and I'll write them down and keep our records intact.
I gotcha.
We can move on for this week.
Awesome. So hot takes this week. Reagan, I want you to start with your hot. Since you didn't give one last week, what is your hot take for this week?
I think this one can be kind of a toss-up, but I think the Seahawks are going to beat the Packers.
I like that.
You just got to give a score.
Oh boy. Let's go. I think it's gonna be close though. I think it's gonna be like 24-21.
That's a Seahawks score.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Ryan?
Honestly, I gotta go with the Saints over the Titans. I know the Titans looked really good against the Rams, but I mean the Saints have kind of got to prove a point, and they've beaten some good competition here. I mean, I'm gonna go with the Saints over the Titans, and it'll be 26-24.
That's a pretty steamy take because I believe Trevor Siemian is their starting quarterback this week.
The Saints also just wake up for the big games.
They do. Hey, dude, I like it. Chase, what do you got this week?
So obviously I've given a couple, so we're gonna throw them all together here.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have the Lions beating the Steelers. That bad juju in Heinz Field is going to go against them. And like I said, Oklahoma are frauds. They're losing to Baylor.
Okay.
And I don't know score-wise since I'm
Well,
giving
it's Big
2.
12. It's Big 12. So.
Oh, no. I'm not going to do your guys' little field goal shenanigans. Baylor's beating Oklahoma by at least 2 touchdowns. At least.
Whoa.
Now we got a really strong hot take.
Oh, okay.
For Lions Steelers, the Lions are going to need to they need Heinz Field to burn down as they're playing, so they don't get a score. But the Lions
Just need to win.
they just need to get out. 3-2. Let's give that as final score. They get it.
Okay. So I want to do 2 hot takes again. I like doing college football and NFL. College football this week. Michigan's playing at Happy Valley. They're playing Penn State. Penn State's ranked number 23. I know Michigan. I know they've already lost their road game when they were in Michigan State, and they always lose one of those a year. But I just feel like another one's coming. I think number 9 Michigan loses number 23 Penn State, and I think it's going to be by 10 points. So I'm thinking 21-31 Penn State.
I can see that.
NFL is interesting. But I don't know why. I don't know why I'm going to say this. And is it really a hot take? But people are going to hate me for it. I think Jags beat Colts in Indianapolis this week.
Yeah, I was thinking that was going to be a close game, but I was hoping we'd pull it out.
It's going to be close.
Always is.
But that defense is riding a high from last week. So Josh Allen, I think, is going to have a great game. So I'm thinking Jags. This is tough. Let's go Jags. 17. Jags 17-9 with a Josh Allen forced fumble.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. So I don't know if that defense is really good, but I don't know if that offense is going to score 17. That's where I'm kind of iffy on it. But
I think their defense used all their defense for the whole season against the Bills, and it's going to be that opposite.
Yeah.
I think that game's going to be a lot closer than anyone's expecting.
Yeah.
Oh no, it'll be a close game. I don't doubt that at all.
But yeah, that concludes our show for this week. Thank you, Reagan, Ryan, and Chase, all for coming on, and hopefully see you guys next week. Thanks for everybody tuning in, and we're signing off. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for